Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. My guest today is Sabrina Runbeck, and she is an advanced practice provider with a background in heart surgery and neuroscience. And she is also the queen of productivity, marrying those two. I appreciate you being on. Hello, welcome to the show, Sabrina.
Hi, how are you, Jim? It's
Doing
nice
great.
to being here.
Yeah, I'm doing really good. We had a good conversation beforehand. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be very, very helpful to the audience. I really do. Helpful to our
Awesome.
entrepreneurs out there. So my first question, so that everybody knows what you do, is what do you do? And explain a little bit about yourself and your story.
Yeah, so let me take you back about 3-4 years ago. There was an early morning. I was having a fever of 101, performing heart surgery. My nurse took pity on me and kept sneaking in Dayquil and cough drop under my mask while I was scrubbed to keep me going. I thought to myself, how could my childhood passion working in medicine and living the American dream turn into such an unhealthy reality? Then on top of that, when I called in sick the next morning, my manager made me feel like I was inconveniencing him for taking care of myself.
Wow.
A few weeks later, I treated a patient who's only in his early 30s having fourth open heart surgery. He had an infection in his heart valve. He didn't tell us in the early stage his new symptoms, thinking they were small and insignificant. And that's when I realized that I have these small and insignificant things in my life. And if I don't address, then I will become a patient myself.
Wow.
I realized that I used to say so many things just to say default mode is yes, right? I can do it. I got this. But now I know when we say yes to too many things, it actually hurts us. Because society taught us to be polite, to be nice, to be considerate, to do other people favors. However, if we say yes to the things that doesn't align with our core values, like the side project, the committee members that you jump onto, you actually might feel resentful and unable to deliver that high quality result you know you can do, and sometimes break our promises. I believe that many young professionals have similar struggle like me, despite being in early stage of their career or already working in an area of passion. So I decided to only work on things that will elevate my energy instead of things that are draining me, and went into research, training for high performance, coaches, summits, and then come up with a system, what I call say no to distraction and say yes to focus, so I can turn my life around. And now I still work full-time in surgery. Training for a fitness competition, and also helping other young professionals, especially in healthcare, to be able to restore their wellness and reboot their efficiency.
That's amazing. That is really good. I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs ignore symptoms, ignore things that are going on with us because, number one, we're too busy. We don't have time. And I think
Oh,
that's across the board. I feel like that I've seen that over and over again with the people I talk to. Stress levels are really, really high because you have deadlines to meet, things to do, numbers to hit, things that you have to do. So I think that I think you're totally onto something here, because I think not only do you have the background for it, but you also have a wisdom about you, about people, you know.
thank you. Yeah, I completely agree with you, because when we're getting into the mode of do, go, you never slow down. Actually, we're not allowing ourselves to slow down, right? We are talking about productivity, we're talking about momentum. Yes, those are good, but if you don't have the right energy, the right mindset, no matter how many hacks you know about productivity, how diligent you are on carry out certain plans, you're not actually able to give the best of you. You're actually give the what's left over of you because you have no building reserve in your life anymore.
You're not giving the best, you're giving the rest.
Yes, yeah. So one of my proprietary process in my 3-step, and I think is a very key step, is called say no to putting your self-care last. Because when we give the treating ourselves well, right, then you can actually give the best of you, not what's left of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we just pour out and pour out and pour out so much
Exactly.
that we don't put back in. I heard someone else say this, that you have to have your cup full and overflowing to actually touch others with the overflow to keep your cup full.
Exactly. That's something I talk about as well. It's if you think about the Asian culture's tea ceremony, right? Serving tea, it's a sign of respect, it's a sign of giving. But your teapot is only so much, right? If you just keep pouring, 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 and now you're now allowing yourself to refill that pot, eventually you're gonna become thirsty as well. Yeah. And when you continuously to give, people start expecting you to bring up that level of service, right? But if you don't have anything left, you have nothing to give, and you have nothing to even allow yourself to quench that thirst.
That's true. And it's a very good analogy as well. I think that, like you said, just we're so busy. It's almost like tunnel vision, where we'll get on a project and won't even realize how many hours we've spent on it. Right. I mean, some people are a little better than I am, I think, at that, but they have little lists and stuff like this, and I probably should, but right now I don't. And it's just being the way I am. I see a task, I got to get it done. I'm just going at it until I get it done, not even thinking about, anything else. Like today I got up at 6 and I've been working ever since. And I had I think at 9 o'clock I had something to eat and, got ready and watched I think 15 minutes of TV, which is probably what I'll get. So,
I mean, I feel you, because we're all guilty in that sense. Especially for people who have created some type of routine and then they feel comfortable in that routine and they keep going. And for those who doesn't have a routine, then they are task focused, right? But when we're focused on the task, is that task truly aligned with everything that you wanted to embody as a person, that align with your core value, whether who you are as a person, how you want to show up, and plus how you wanted the future to go, right? Yes. And if we're not constantly checking on ourselves, no matter how many self-help books, business books that you read or affirmation you're saying, it just messages that are not absorbed, not embodied. So that's the big thing about how to manifest and how to really use positive psychology. It's not just saying it. It's also not just writing it down. Those things are good. But for you to actually live into it, it's actually allowing yourself to accept the wins, right? Knowing if you did a little things, you should congratulate yourself for that. Yes. And then think about all the tasks coming your way. Are they truly matching who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be, how my future holds? And if it's not on my top 3, that really should be eliminated, delegated, or put on a later. If we're not constantly thinking that way, we're just like, oh, I need to do this, reacting to it, then you're always going to add something else onto your to-do list, then it becomes endless.
Yeah, totally agree with that. So as entrepreneurs, we put in long hours. There's this thing that I'm my own boss. I can take time off. I can do what I want. I can sail the 7 seas or whatever. I don't see that in most people. Most people work harder for themselves than they do for a job. They work more hours, longer hours, less food, less sleep. And that's what I see. Do you see the same things?
I do. I think it's a boundary issue at the core, right? When we have a structure, means, let's say, a 9 to 5 work for 10-hour shift. Once you're done, you feel like you're done and you deserve to rest then, right? Or having fun in some way.
Mhm.
But when you become your own boss, and especially you're not allowing yourself to have these, what I call stamina reboot session, then you're just going to keep pouring more and more. But is that when you're pouring more, you're actually getting the result you want? Or you're pouring more because you're not getting the result, so you're just going to keep trying? And
Mm.
research has been shown that you our willpower is not really good, right? It's really short-lived. So for
Mhm.
you to be able to keep yourself on track, not distracted or procrastinate and multitask, the best way is planning intentional breaks into your day. And that will boost both your energy, allow you to clear your head, and allow you to be more focused.
Mm.
And study has shown anywhere between 30 minutes to 60 minutes, right? Set intention to say, I'm only allowing myself to check emails half hour in the morning, just so I can get to the bigger things that need to be starred and flagged, and delete the rest, right? Or forward to my virtual assistant for the rest.
Right.
And not really thinking about how to sit down and replying to everything. And if I only give myself 30 minutes, I'm going to set an alarm for that 30 minutes. No matter how much I got done, I will take a break at that time. And that break doesn't have to be long. It can be a minute or 2 minutes breathing exercise. Um, it can be just walking over to your kitchen, get a drink, go to the restroom. It can be so small. It just needed to be remove you from all the crazy thoughts that you had that's bombarding your head.
That makes sense too. In a situation where you are an entrepreneur and you work from home, because that happens a lot too, not that you don't have a brick and mortar business, but you're an online business or something like that. There's also the need to deal with family, children, spouses, and all that stuff. Then that adds stress and pressure as well. And the time for you seems to go down, 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 down. Um, how do you balance all that?
That's where intentionality comes in, right? And you first is to say no to vagueness. And why is that? If you cannot identify your core values, first of all, and every intention comes with a purpose, right? You begin with a why question, not just a what question. Because if you begin with a what question, there's 10,000 things we can do and what could happen. But if you don't even know the reason why, your own purpose in doing something, then it becomes endless. So if family is important, then yes, have the intention of saying, I'm gonna spend X amount of time in the morning or in the afternoon to help my family out. Or if my kids have soccer game in the afternoon, I will make sure I have those 3 hours blocked off, right?
Mhm.
And that comes in because family is one of my core value. I want to be loving. I want it to be an important contribution to family, right? And that makes sense. But if also what makes sense is to say, I want it to be at my optimum condition. So I don't feel drained if I go to my kids' soccer game, and I don't want it to be looking like a zombie because I didn't take a break at all. I just kept going. And so if you weren't really pay attention, engaged with your kid, just being there physically doesn't really quite mean a whole lot, right? I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure you probably had people will go out for dinner or catch up, but they just look so tired and not engaging. How would you feel, right? Do they
Right.
really want it to be there for you?
Right. Yeah, you feel like their mind was somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we had talked about a little bit in before we talked. Before we started the show. I'm sorry about millennials and things like that, and how like people my age. I'm 50, so people my age kind of had viewed them as lazy. At least I haven't, but at least some of the people have. So I'm wondering how, if that viewpoint, number one, is changing, and number two, what your viewpoint on millennials are.
Yeah. So I'm a late millennial. So millennials like about 25 to 30s, and Gen X, the 40 and 50s, and then go on baby boomer. So research actually shown that millennials, just like Generation Xers and baby boomers, want to provide positive impact on their organization, want to be experts in their own field, and be able to make some greater changes. That's all the same. What's different is their their tendencies, and that they are looking for more of balance in life, and they also challenge the external concept of what's normal, what's good. And to me, that is actually a good tendency, because we have television, right? But back in the day, it's a box. You actually go there, click on the buttons to change channel. Back then, I also remember CDs, cassettes for music. And then we transition from that into iPad, right? Playing everything on your phone for app, right? Everything is changing. Now, society, because we question so much, becomes super innovative, right, with ideas. But if we are not allowing ourselves to challenge the norm, then we wouldn't have gotten where we are or even going forward in life. So millennials are not lazy. They're just looking for ways that they want to be a good contributor, but also have a life that they truly enjoy. And I think that is super key for all generations as well. There's a recent study, actually, since we're just hit 2020, healthcare professionally, there's a study on Medscape that came out, described that when they compared millennial, Generation X, and baby boomer, across the board, less than 50% saying they were able to have a balance between work and home life, right? And except millennials might be only generation that actually trying to do something about it. And they are the one has been shown that they will want to get a better pay because the debt is so much. And they want to go into the subspecialties that allow you to have a better, more flexible hours. Because it's not that they don't want to make a contribution. Think about healthcare. You spend years of training, right? You're absorbing all the information like you're drinking from a fire hose. And when you're ready to practice, you better be going. People rely on you. Your decision means something, right? So there's a huge pressure on that.
Yeah.
So that being said, they are just as much want to make a contribution, but also realizing work is not just work. Career is just one part of life. It's not everything.
Also, I believe that millennials, they want a cause, a purpose,
Yes.
and they don't make great employees because I think they want a bigger picture. They don't want to flip a burger, and it means nothing to them. So it
Right.
has to mean something to them. It has to go with their purpose or their DMO or their daily method of operation. They're what's in their soul, instead
Right.
of, I just do this because it's work and I go into work. They're like, well, what do we have to do this for? This is crazy. I mean, I'm not really, I'm giving a burger and making someone fat or something. I'm not really contributing
Yeah.
to the world in a positive way. And I think what we mistook for laziness is actually more
Impact.
entrepreneurial spirit than we have had, because we were just trained to get a job and, and live out your life, get a pension and all this. Well, the pensions went away, and then things have changed, and the world has gotten a different place, than it had been. So I
Right.
think that there is more heart-based entrepreneurs and
Right.
not the physical one. I'm sorry. that didn't come out good. But yeah, but more of the people that really care about their life, the people that's in their life and the world around them, than in our generation that just had to go to work, come home, deal with some stuff, and then go back, go to work. I mean, that's just the program.
Right, exactly, because we moved away from that industrialized thinking, right? And now it's the new growth. Everything normal is growth, normal is change. And if we cannot keep up with that change, then you're the one who got left behind. So it's not even just millennials. If you think about the concept, That is the true concept of how to allow other people to help you to achieve bigger goals. So in my first step of my process is when we mentioned earlier, say no to vagueness, because then you can dream big and achieve more. And the steps go into is number one, start with a purpose statement. Because if you don't even know your true desire, you cannot create a North Star to guide you, to motivate you, then it's easier for you to get sidetracked. And that's so true for entrepreneurs, right? You needed to find that passion, that deep desire, that burning thing. If you don't even get paid, you still enjoy the work it is, right? And then you will keep going. So when we can define that, right? It's just like Apple when they define a purpose, something simple technology that everyone can use, right? And that's why people drawn to that brand. And so when you are able to define it so clear, then the next step is what? Sharing with other people. And we have also the tendency of thinking if we explain that people should just get it, right? But if you didn't ask other people what they understand or didn't understand about what you're saying, you actually didn't do a proper communication. So when we are able to form that true connection, aligning your purpose and then other people's purpose, and they're in support of each other, right? You're gelling everything together. Of course, people are gonna trust you, gonna work with you, and wanted to make you succeed because they believe in you now. So the final phase, yes, you will be able to carry out the specific steps to get to your end goal.
Oh, that's good. And I think that also, you mentioned you have to have your why, and that's because this isn't easy. Everybody thinks that, oh yeah, I'm just going to open up for business, and everybody's going to flock to my thing and buy everything or whatever. And that is just not how the way it is. It really isn't. So it kind of leads me to this question: what, in your experience, has held you back, either internally or externally, along your journey as an entrepreneur?
I think what held me back would be the same as the first thing for everybody. It's that limited belief and the negative self-talk. And how I overcome that is also a huge chunk of my core teaching is on saying no to negative thoughts. So then you can reclaim your mental power.
That's good. Say no to your negative talk. It's very, very hard to do in some people's lives. It just depends, because sometimes reality seems way too real. Yeah,
Right,
there's all
right,
kinds of stuff around you that suggests, oh, this is a failure and that's a failure and blah, 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 blah. So you
right.
get into your mind, oh, I'm a failure at this, I'm a failure at that, when no, it was just this one thing that didn't work out.
Exactly. It's needed to be a practice. It's not
Yes.
something that you can just, hey, I'm just gonna say something positive about myself and then it will be fine.
Right.
Because even when you think about when you want something really badly, right? You can be the manic person who just keeps studying, keep figuring out, keep doing everything, but still doesn't work for you, right?
Right.
Because you try so hard, you haven't dialed down enough to even think about or allow yourself to absorb what the journey has been. So you're trying too hard, you're actually now allowing things to happen. And then you have the pushy people who just like, this is what I want, I'm not changing, it's very rigid. It's also hard for you, right? Like the tunnel vision, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So if you're not open up to possibilities and it's just only one way, your way, or somehow you figure out this way, then it might not be your true path.
Right.
Then you have the fear-based. So we tell ourselves, well, if this one thing failed, I will have to really remember because then it prevents me from failing again. So if we are in a constant avoidance, you're not allowing yourself to be in the present, to live life, then you will always feel like it's lack of control. In reality, no situation in the past can be exactly duplicated into the future because everything is changing, right? Like who you were yesterday is probably different how you are thinking today because the weather is different. Your dog might be like somehow spastic, kids might be running around for some odd reason. Like you can't predict anything. So the only thing we can control is controlling right now and bringing anything that's fear-based to surface, because then it's not that bad. Avoidance is the worst part. Then the last thing about blocking and manifesting is judgment. If we think we have a really core belief in something and then it's really hard to shake it off, and you start just like, oh, this person is doing that, oh, this won't work, XYZ, then you're not truly allowing other people to help you. You're not allowing the good information, the energy to flow at you because you're in a constant repel.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. The thing I also see is when you said you're doing this and you're doing that, you tend to avoid the things that actually stretch you and are going to make you grow, to be honest. So, because it's avoiding that fear. So we'll just do task after task after task that really don't mean anything, but the major core tasks that we really need to do, that we're terrified of, those are the ones we avoid. And therefore, we just like a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah, exactly. And they all come down to you don't have clarity, you have no defined purpose. And you just going through the motions instead of challenge yourself to say, am I living up to who I wanted to be, right? That positive affirmation you just start from the first thing in the morning. Yes, you can say positive thing about yourself. That's awesome. Say it out loud. Say it when you're looking at yourself, right? Really truly believe in that message. Then you need to be able to measure that, right? So by the end of the night, did I really live up to the message that I wanted to say to myself, right? So if
Right.
today what I wanted to do, just be positive, be able to connect with more people because that fuel my energy,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to express myself better. Okay, 3 things, right? In the morning. I know I have the ability to do so. Then at nighttime before you went to bed, did you actually live up to those, right?
Mm.
Like give yourself a little reflection time. Oh yeah, I talked to Jim today. Like we
Yeah.
had a great conversation. Check mark on my connectivity. Check mark on sharing my message. And am I positive? Well, doing our experience right now, yes, I'm excited about talking about things that I'm passionate about because it's changing and it's actually adapting. So, and then what about the rest of the day? What else can I do to even embody this message even further? Right? Connection could even just be connecting with your kids, take them somewhere to the park and whatnot. And you can find so many different things to live up to your message. But at nighttime, when you give yourself that self reflection time, it's actually allowing yourself a little pat on the back, right?
Yeah. I
Enjoy
guess
that win.
we all need that even. And I think the hardest thing for us to do is to look in the mirror and see good things. When we see all of our flaws and everything that everybody, you're like, oh my gosh, well, this is wrong with me. This is wrong with me. This is wrong with me. And then other people look at you as, oh, wow, she's amazing. Holy cow. She's a heart surgeon, for goodness sake, you know?
Yeah.
And you look at it like, yeah, it's just me though, you know?
Right. So because what? We're a lot of people in entrepreneurship has that very type A personality, right?
Mhm.
But because of that, you're not allowing yourself to enjoy the present moment. You're just constantly wanting to go and go to a certain point. Most people are so ingrained, especially from our parents, to say, well, you have to get good grade to get into a college. You have to get into a good college for you to get a good job.
Yeah.
You have to have a good job to have a good house and family. Okay, so we're able to make all these markers. But once you hit those goals, then what? Right?
Right. Right.
It, it's not thinking as what is that really true end goal, not just like a means goal, one step after another after another. Then it become a societal pressure on who you need to be instead of who you want to be.
Right. And we do get a lot of pressure as to what society thinks we should be versus whether what we think we should be, or parents think what we should be, or our friends think what we should be, you know, or something like that. I know in my journey, you know, it's been a lot of, at least early on, it was like, wow, what are you doing? You know, you should have a job, and you should, which I do, kind of, maybe not. We'll see. I'm transitioning soon here, so we'll see what's going on. But it's like everybody's kind of questioning what you do all the time, you know, and sometimes that'll make you question yourself.
Right, exactly. And so if you're able to practice that, especially what we're talking about, having the affirmation, live into the affirmation, recheck yourself, then if you think about how good it would feel if you continuously be able to practice that, right? That's
Yeah.
actually you start changing your neural pathways.
Yep. You do.
All those negativities, it's in psychology what's called mental chatters, because our brain actually have majority of thoughts that are negative instead of positive. So we have to reprogram ourselves into the positive thinking and how to do it consistently to actually make things manifest itself.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, I think. And like I said, there's sometimes reality is too real. So I think, you know, like the car just broke down, or, you know, this happened, that happened, you know, the dog ran away. I mean, there's all these things that happen to us, little fires we have to put out all the time. And I think that takes away from our mental state of being positive. When you see
Right.
this stuff happening and you're in that maybe fight or flight experience, and you don't have your wits about you for a little bit, you know?
Right. I definitely get it, because we all have something always can go wrong. However, if you live in that fear of, well, I just don't know what's going to happen next, then you choose to stay in a state of negativity instead
Yeah,
of choose to
it's a
step out
choice.
to do something else. Because everyone can have the same thing happening as you, and it just takes someone, the key difference is they choose to not allow themselves to stay in that state of draining down. They choose to stand up, they choose to have a better future, and their expectation now have shifted their identity. So then they will do everything they need, build that skill for them to get to a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you offer, like your particular coaching things, the things that you have or courses that you have?
Yeah. So I work with people one-on-one,
Okay.
and for it's a 6-week program. And for anybody who would like to learn more about it, I know we talk about a lot, but it's also very difficult to just implement everything on your own. And people can definitely, I encourage you to try things that we have talked about. But if you're trying to do too much at one time, then people might get discouraged because they're not seeing exactly how things played out. And that's where I comes in, is to have that one-on-one time to break down their barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many key components in life. If we don't even know where things are holding us back, that's we can't move on, despite how many skills we start building. And additionally, I also do workshops with organizations and speaking on stages. So definitely fun things in life that keep me going, to be able to say, hey, I work so many hours, so hard for that career in medicine. I don't want to give up. We all deserve to love what we do. We just have to find a passion back into where we started and be able to build these little more sparkles to keep us going.
Oh, definitely. No, you know, you have such a good attitude, such a positive attitude, and it seems like you have such a good heart for people, and I appreciate that about you. I was going to ask you, if you had somebody that was like brand new to entrepreneurship and just starting to get into it, what advice would you have for footsteps, their first steps as an entrepreneur in their journey?
I would say figure out who you wanted to help, how you wanted to help them first, and why you want to do it. Because if you have a really clear definition and on how you wanted to proceed, right? Ultimately, that's what will keep you going. And think about what are these key skills you already have and things you can build onto that to make this successful. If we don't have that level of clarity, then we're just gonna keep shifting and what people call like shiny object syndrome, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't work, let me try something else, da 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 da, and they start shifting multiple pivots, and then you have no clarity on what you truly embody, what you want to
Yeah.
do. Then people get confused on your ability. Then they wouldn't be able to even trust you from the gate. Um, and something I would say will be helpful for our listener is that I truly believe we all can have a heck yes life, but
All
that
right.
really takes a conscious intention to do that. And it
Yes.
starts with knowing your strength and weakness. Then we
Yeah.
can remove the blockers. So I do have a free gift for our audience. It's
Oh, cool.
called um, discover your hidden roadblocks. And it's only a 3 minute quick quiz and to break that down. And people can find it at sabrinarunbeck.com/assessment.
We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And I am working on an audio platform at this point. So I have to upload all the episodes. So it's going to take time, but eventually the show will be on Spotify as well. And Apple, they changed their name. It was iTunes before, but I think it's Apple Podcasts now. And all those nice little outlets you can find the show on. So there will be an audio version and the video version. The audio version is going to take a little longer, but the links will be in both the shows in the show notes and the description down below in the YouTube channel here. So you can just go and get a free gift. And a free gift is always nice. But this one helps you with your limiting beliefs. And I think that's one of the number one things that entrepreneurs struggle with is things that are internal and not so much the things that are external. Because I'm going to ask you this question. Do you believe in this? This is kind of my belief, so I'll ask you. Do you believe that everything you need is inside of you?
I do. That's actually is one of my core message is that I believe everyone, despite their gender, generation, the amount of capability you can generate for your income, you all have the inner ability to live up to the life of fulfillment and achievement. And everyone's definition of success is different. And that's okay because that's what makes us unique.
Yes.
But to get there, we need to know how to say no. And we really truly have to say no to almost everything. So then you can say yes to the only thing that matters.
That really makes a lot of sense. As entrepreneurs, we always look at things as opportunities, and sometimes we don't look at the opportunities as something that's going to mess us up.
Right. They're distractions sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And especially from taking away from your self-care, your rest, your food, you just forget to do things that are very, very important for your health. And
Right.
as someone who knows a lot about the health industry, and people, I mean, you are such a uniquely positioned person to be able to help those people because you do have such an extensive background.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. I just believe that everybody coming into my door for the past 10 years, I've been focusing on public health and just medicine, thinking, teaching, even on my very early research is on self-care and self-efficacy, the belief system you have to be able to accomplish something and your actually ability to do it, and very much intertwined. And why at the time I also study literacy, right? Means if I understand something better, would that actually contribute to me doing more for myself? That actually had no correlation whatsoever.
Hmm.
The biggest contributor is we believe we can do it, and therefore we do it.
Wow. That's cool. I like that. Oh, it's been a good show. I really appreciate you being on here. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
No, I think I want to thanks everyone for listening in today, and that my final message is what we talked about earlier, but I want you to really think about this. Say no to almost everything so you can say yes to the only thing that matters.
That was amazing. Everybody hit the link and subscribe button and the little bell thing. Yeah, we say that every week. And we appreciate each and every one of you listening. It was a fascinating discussion today. And if you have any questions for our guest, then you can go ahead and get the links below. You can get a hold of her on Facebook, correct?
Facebook, mostly I'm active on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Instagram. Okay, we'll put those down in the description as well so that people can get a hold of you, and hopefully they can start to work with you and get rid of all the excess baggage that they have on their schedule.
Awesome. Thanks everyone listening, and thanks Jim for having me here.
Well, I appreciate it, and the pleasure was mine. Thank you, everybody, and until next time, thank you very much. We appreciate you.